Is Silent Hill Homecoming really that bad? Yes it is. Thanks for watching. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I?
I don't like that!
Unless you've lived under a rock for the past 25 years, then the chances are that you've heard of the Silent Hill series, or at least seen some kind of related meme. Famous for popularising foggy towns as a prime setting for horror games, the first 4 Silent Hill games were groundbreaking for their rich world building, intense atmospheres, and innovative monster design. But as I'm sure you know, things in Silent Hill rarely go according to plan. After the release of Silent Hill 4 The Room in 2004, the franchise was at a bit of a crossroads. Japanese developers at Konami were fresh out of ideas. They had made their mark on the gaming world forever, but now they had a choice. Do they pass on the reins for their next game to a Western developer who may not be as sensitive to the lore and spirit of the originals, or stick with it themselves? Well, I'm sure you know the answer. Every game released since Silent Hill 4 has had very mixed reviews, apart from Silent Hill 2 Remake of course. But Homecoming seems to get the most under the skin whenever I've talked to fans of the series, with its frustrating mechanics, game-breaking bugs, and a story that's more muddled than my homemade pancake batter. Sorry son. Is Silent Hill Homecoming really that bad? Silent Hill Homecoming is a psychological horror game released in 2008 and is the 6th installment in the Silent Hill series. The game follows Alex Shepard, a soldier returning to his hometown of Shepherd's Glen, the town just across from Silent Hill, after a long deployment. As he searches for his missing younger brother, he becomes entangled in a mystery that connects his family, his eerie hometown, and the infamous Silent Hill itself. And like previous games, Homecoming has a focus on atmospheric tension and disturbing environments, but has a deeper combat system than previous entries. Homecoming was developed by Double Helix Games and is the 6th title in the main series of Silent Hill games. Before this was Silent Hill Origins, developed by Climax Studios, and a mobile and arcade game, and let's be honest, ain't nobody playing those. The development of Homecoming had a rocky start. After Origins released in 2005 to a response about as warm as a piston pool, Konami knew that they had to tread lightly, as not to damage the franchise any further. But this is exactly what Konami wanted. After Team Silent disbanded, the ragtag group of legends previously in charge of the series, one of Konami's main desires was to give the series a different feeling, as well as attract a wider Western audience. By a different feeling, Konami meant, instead of those amazingly crafted games like not selling any copies and earning us any money, maybe you could make one that, sells a shit ton of copies? Do you think you could do that for us, please? So after this realisation, they opened up the gates to their special town to game devs who had no prior experience with horror games. And it seemed like Silent Hill's newest arrivals were meddling with things they weren't supposed to. During the game's production, Akira Yamaoka, the legendary composer of the series, hinted at a return to the psychological roots that were present in Silent Hill 2, and that the team was interested in setting the game's atmosphere in a new kind of place, a sunny environment gone wrong. This would have been a very welcome change in the series settings. That juxtaposition of being in a beautiful setting and feeling safe, and then having that completely pulled out from under you would have been amazing to see, but ultimately, Homecoming also abandoned the returning to psychological roots and focused more on an interactive combat, similarly to Silent Hill Origins. Double Helix drew inspiration not only from past installments in the games, but also from the first Silent Hill movie adaptation, which I'll admit I have a soft spot for, and this is most clear in the transition from the normal world to the other world, as this sort of tearing effect almost matches that found in the film. Other similarities from the movie include the reaction of nurses to light, bug-like creatures seen in the movie, and the version of Pyramid Head, known in this film as the Boogeyman. Yes, Boogeyman. Don't get me started. Whilst Homecoming may have changed quite a lot of the fabric of Silent Hill, it did have some homages to previous games, some of which were really great to see. Like previous games, we see our protagonist shoving their hand into a disgusting hole to retrieve items. No need for a glove or anything, just pop that baby straight in there. The lead designer of Homecoming, Jason Allen, described the intentions of the development team to be to maintain the depth of storytelling and atmosphere of the series whilst making the combat feel more intuitive and less frustrating. The scripts, all the in-game journal entries and instruction manuals were written by Patrick Doody, amazing name, based on the story and the summary of events provided by Jason Allen, Brian Horton and lead level designer Daniel Jacobs. At the start of the game, the player guides Alex through a nightmare, in which he's trying to find his younger brother Josh in a hospital. This scene feels very reminiscent of chasing Laura around in Silent Hill 2, the little shit. Just as Alex is impaled by Boogeyman's sword, Alex wakes up in a truck driven by Travis Grady, who is actually the protagonist from Silent Hill Origins, who gives him a ride to his hometown of Shepherd's Glen. The town, named after a distant ancestor who helped found it, is covered in fog and seems to be deserted. Once he reaches his childhood home, he finds his mother in a catatonic state, staring at the television set and murmuring about his father leaving to find Josh. Alex soon leaves his mum to help find them, even though I'm sure she could probably use the company, the poor cow. Alex soon discovers that many more people have gone missing in Shepherd's Glen since he left. When he finds his childhood friend Elle Holloway pinning missing signs to a board outside the police station. As Alex explores the town, he witnesses the separate deaths of Mayor Bartlett and Dr. Fitch by monsters in the otherworld, both of whom have a child who is missing as well. Back in Shepherd's Glen, Alex allies himself with Deputy Wheeler in the police department, and Alex eventually learns that his father was involved in the secrets of the town and had left to attempt to resolve the town's problems. But before Alex is able to get answers from his mother at home, he is knocked unconscious as the Order, a religious cult from Silent Hill, which has been taking people from the town, kidnaps his mother. Then Alex, Elle and Wheeler take a boat across Toluca Lake to find Alex's father in Silent Hill, but are intercepted by the Order. Elle and Wheeler are taken to Silent Hill's penitentiary, where Alex then attempts to rescue them. He finds his mother bound, and the player must make a decision regarding whether to kill her out of mercy or spare her, which will affect the outcome of the game. After rescuing Elle's mother, Judge Holloway, and separating from Wheeler once more, Alex finds the Order's church, where he secretly listens to his father in the confessional, and the player may choose to forgive him, again affecting the outcome of the game. Alex later runs into his father, who reveals that Alex was never a soldier and has been in a mental hospital since the accident occurred. He begs Alex for forgiveness for the way that he treated him as a child before he's killed by a monster called the Boogeyman. Continuing to the Order's underground base, Alex is captured by Judge Holloway, who reveals that everything that has happened is due to a broken pact. 150 years ago, the 4 founding families broke away from Silent Hill's Order to move to Shepherd's Glen. They were allowed to do so on the condition that once every 50 years, they would sacrifice one of their children in a preordained fashion. On this occasion, while Joey Bartlett, Scarlet Fitch, and Nora Holloway, whose monstrous spirit manifestations Alex has encountered as the boss monsters of the game, were successfully sacrificed by their parents, the shepherd sacrifice failed, and as a result, the Order had been reformed to try to appease their god. Judge Holloway tries to kill Alex, but he kills her in self-defense. Alex manages to rescue Elle from the facility, and after finding Wheeler injured and allowing the player to choose whether or not to save him, once more affecting the outcome of the game, continues on alone to find Josh. Alex, now realizing he was the intended sacrifice, experiences a flashback showing Josh's true fate. When Alex was younger, he had taken Josh rowing out on the lake, where Josh showed a ring, which his father had chosen to give to him instead of Alex. Out of jealousy, Alex struggled with Josh to try to take the ring, and as they fought, Josh accidentally fell into the lake and drowned. His father retrieved the body and explained that Alex had ruined it for all of us, since he had chosen Alex as his sacrifice and not Josh. Unable to accept Josh's death, Alex was then sent to the mental hospital and not enlisted to the military as we initially believed. And with Josh, instead of Alex sacrificed, the Order's pact was broken. After fighting the final boss, the manifestation of Josh's spirit, Alex finally has the chance to apologise and states that he never wanted Josh's death to happen. Alex leaves the family ring and their father's Anglehead army flashlight on Josh's body and exits the chamber. There are 5 endings available, which depend on the player's actions during the game, including whether the player kills Alex's mother, forgives Alex's father, and saves Deputy Wheeler. These range from the single positive ending to the game, where Alex comes to terms with his past actions and reunites with Elle to leave Shepherd's Glen, to 3 other endings: Alex getting drowned by his father, waking up in the hospital and receiving a shock treatment, or being turned into a boogeyman. There's also a joke ending where both Alex and Elle are abducted by a UFO while Wheeler witnesses. In addition to these endings, if the player collects all of Josh's pictures or clears the game on the hard difficulty, a first-person post-credit scene is played where Alex finds Josh sitting on the bottom bunk of his bed and Josh takes a picture of Alex with his camera. One comment about Homecoming that I seem to see a lot is, Homecoming is okay as a horror game, but it's a bad Silent Hill game. And whilst part of me thinks that that's maybe one of the silliest things ever said about anything ever, another part of me kind of agrees. I'm gonna say it now, I fuck with Silent Hill Homecoming. There's a lot of things in this game that I think are done really well. There's some super amazing enemy design, some on par with the design of Silent Hill 2 in my opinion. The soundscape is just as fear-inducing as previous titles, and the story, whilst a little bit jumbled and unsure of what it's trying to do sometimes, for the most part is quite surprising and exciting. But on the other hand, what the fuck is Pyramid Head doing here? The game obviously took a lot of inspiration from the first film. Okay, I'm okay with that. Pyramid Head's involvement in the film is acceptable in my opinion because, well, it's a movie. They need to take these creative liberties, and using arguably the franchise's most recognisable character in a film is a pretty good way of getting bums on seats and hands on meats. But Homecoming had no reason to include Pyramid Head. It just doesn't make sense when you consider what Pyramid Head represents. In Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head represents James Sunderland's guilt and desire for punishment, specifically for, spoiler alert, the death of his wife Mary. James is only able to stand up to Pyramid Head when he understands what he is and what he represents. Even then, James doesn't actually kill him, he kills himself. James doesn't so much defeat him, it's just more like he no longer needs him anymore. So for all intents and purposes, Pyramid Head is James, and James is Pyramid Head. So for the character to exist in another time and setting just kind of takes away any power that Pyramid Head has. Apparently one of Homecoming's producers made a big stink about Pyramid Head being in the game, but alas, no one listened to him, and they renamed him Boogeyman. I don't know. For a game whose protagonist is in the army, it makes sense that there may be more of a focus on combat, but the said combat left a lot of fans disappointed, myself included. Alex just often felt like he had a mind of his own when it came to his animations, and whilst the enemies were quite challenging to defeat, the combat just lacked any real weight. But when you get to the climax of the game and realise, hang on a minute, Alex actually wasn't in the army at all, he's actually just been dispatched from a mental institution. Weirdly, the bad combat makes a bit more sense. I mean, Alex does 360 degrees knife swings for fuck's sake, which at times made me feel like I was playing Resident Evil 4 or 5 or something. But once the reveal happens, the clunky combat makes sense. It's totally plausible that Alex might use moves like this, which make him feel like some sort of superhero who's trying to save his little brother, when in reality, he's none of these things. It foreshadows that he is not in fact a real soldier. It's hard to know if the developers had this in mind when making it though. There's also just lots of times where Homecoming just feels downright clumsy. When Alex reunites with Elle, at this point he's already encountered several monsters, but he just doesn't warn her about them. I know Alex is revealed to be mentally unwell, and maybe his oversight here is hinting at that, but again, I'm unsure if this is just sloppy writing or brilliant foreshadowing. If you let the intro of the game play in its entirety, it essentially spoils the plot twist that Judge Holloway is an antagonist in the game, when she is clearly seen angrily shouting to a tied up Alex. Homecoming is also the first game in the series where the UFO ending can be achieved on a first playthrough. This means that there are probably a large amount of players who ended a dark and emotional story with Alex and Elle being abducted by random aliens. There's a lot in Silent Hill Homecoming that truly misses. So many of the characters feel underdeveloped, like Elle, who is allegedly originally going to be a version of Laura, all grown up from Silent Hill 2. But one thing I think Homecoming does really well is the enemy design, particularly the main bosses. Almost all of the bosses in the game are references to the deaths of each children in the founding families. Joey Bartlett was buried alive and is symbolically represented in the garden. Scarlet Fitch loved dolls and was dismembered, causing Scarlet the mannequin, a representation of her, to behead her father in a similar way to her death. Nora Holloway was strangled to death and is represented by asphyxia, and the final boss represents Josh, who drowned. But what's really knee-slappingly exciting is that all these bosses killed a parent the way that they were killed themselves. Joey slams Bartlett into the ground and buries him just like he did. Scarlett cuts her father up and then decapitates Dr. Fitch by biting his head off. And Asphyxia, although this one is a fail, but it's safe to say that Holloway would have probably suffocated from the gas that she was producing. Joshua attempts to kill Alex by drowning him in the acidic fluid that he spits out, since Josh drowned himself, and because he loves spiders, he takes the form of a massive spider. Whilst Homecoming's story is often criticised as not feeling connected to Team Silent's world, I think it had moments where you can relate it to the first two Silent Hill games really well. Harry looking for his daughter in Silent Hill 1, James looking for his wife in Silent Hill 2, and Heather looking for some really nice bread in Silent Hill 3. So with Alex looking for his brother from the very start in Homecoming, I immediately felt like I was in a Silent Hill game before I even played it. Homecoming's story is also just completely fucked up in the best possible way. A town that sacrifices children to keep a deity satisfied, but they made a mistake and now it's in ruin like Silent Hill? Fucking fantastic. And exploring this new location of Shepherd's Glen made it feel fresh, and unravelling the mystery of both towns honestly is just a really fun ride. Especially if you take off those nostalgic goggles for the original games and play Homecoming for what it is, a really fucked up game about family. Looking back at Homecoming, I can't help but feel like if this game had Team Silent's name on it, then the reception would have been so much more positive. With Silent Hill F and Silent Hill Townfall being in development, as fans of the series, we are being well looked after. But with these games also being developed by outside developers, it's important to remember, these games aren't your Silent Hill 1s and 2s, and they're not trying to be. And that's okay, just try to enjoy it for what it is. Thank you so much for watching, I'll see you again.